In Chapter 10, we're going to discuss safe neighborhoods and communities, from traffic problems to crimes. Community policing stresses using partnerships and problem solving to address making neighborhoods and communities safer, including looking at concerns related to traffic and neighborhood disorder, looking at crime and the fear of crime. Now, many Americans, including many police, believe that traffic problems and crime prevention are solely the responsibility of law enforcement. When crime surges in a community, the usual public response is to demand the hiring of more police officers. Citizens often believe that a visible police presence will deter and reduce crime, even though most studies indicate that this is not the case. Criminal justice professionals readily and repeatedly admit that in the absence of citizen assistance, neither more nor manpower, nor improved technology, nor additional money will enable law enforcement to shoulder the monumental burden of combating crime that takes place in America. Let's talk a little bit about traffic enforcement and safety. The United States is a very mobile nation, with motor vehicle travel being the primary means of transportation. Citizens consider it a right to drive their vehicles, although it's really just a privilege. And they resent any limitations that's imposed on these rights. So they feel like it's just an obligation that they have to be able to have that right to drive, but what they don't realize is this is actually a privilege to drive in this country. Speeding in residential areas. Studies have shown that traffic-related issues continue to top the list of citizens' complaints to police. Data from National Highway Safety Administration consistently shows that speeding is one of the most prevalent factors contributing to traffic accidents. In 2010, speeding was identified as a contributing factor in nearly 1/3 of all the fatal crashes. That's about 32% of all of the fatal crashes being contributed to speeding. And 86% of the speeding-related fatalities in 2010 occurred on roads that were not interstate highways. So the speed limits were not incredibly high in these areas. Let's talk about street racing for just a second here. Street racing of automobiles has been an American tradition since the early 50s, and probably many years before that. Although no national database currently tracks the number of lives lost every year to illegal speed racing, an internet search of speed racing crashes provides ample evidence, stories, and images of deadly results of these activities. Too often those injured or killed are innocent bystanders or other motorists who are at the wrong place at the wrong time. Red light running is another issue. The Insurance Institute of Highway Safety reports that in 2009, red light running killed 676 people and injured an estimated 113,000. And approximately 2/3 of those killed were people other than the red light running drivers. So this is another startling statistic out in our community. And when you're talking about the use or the non-use of seat belts, recent data from the National Occupant Protection Use Surveys conducted an annual survey of statistics, and it indicates that an estimated 84% of Americans actually wear their seatbelt while riding or driving in a vehicle. So that's not too bad. A number that statistically is unchanged. It's usually ran about 85% or so. So this has increased steadily since 1994. Back in 1994, about 58% of the passengers were wearing their seatbelt. So this too helps to reduce accidents and fatalities out on our roadways. Now, we're talking about impaired drivers. Decades ago, drunk driving was not considered the crime that it is today. Now, crashes caused by alcohol-impaired drivers are treated as violent crimes. The NHTSA data shows that there were about 10,228 alcohol-impaired driving fatalities in 2010, which equates to about 31% of all traffic fatalities for that year. It also recognized that driving under the influence of drugs, whether illegal or prescription, is also a form of impaired driving. So it doesn't necessarily have to be alcohol. It could be drugs, even prescription drugs, whether it's illegal drugs or legal drugs. It can also be classified as impaired driving if it affects your driving ability and your faculties. Safe communities. 9 agencies within the United States Department of Transportation are working together to promote and implement a safer national transportation system by combining the best injury prevention practices into what's called the Safe Communities approach to serve as a national model. So this is something that they're working on to make our communities much safer. Let's talk about addressing disorder concerns beyond beautification. Neighborhoods and business districts improvements such as when they're cleaning up their trash or landscaping and planting flowers and things of this nature. It helps the residents to take pride in their neighborhoods. And key partnerships in beautification projects include police departments, the public works staff, the business communities, and the residents. And these partnerships can also expand to help fight crime and reduce the fear of crime. And I'm sure you all have heard about the broken window syndrome. If you break a window in a building and no one repairs it, the chances are the rest of those windows are going to be broken. And even surrounding buildings, whether it's in a popular neighborhood or whether if it's in a rich neighborhood or poor neighborhood, it doesn't matter. It's going to attract crime and it's going to attract disorder. So we have to address these issues. Let's talk about reducing the fear of crime. A major goal of community policing is actually reducing the fear of crime in community so that citizens will be willing to join together and prevent crimes. And there's many different things as to what people are doing to try to help reduce this fear of crime. One of them is video surveillance in public areas. Video cameras connected to closed circuit television can be used as a tool for management and others as well as law enforcement to displace these criminal activities taking place, because 9 times out of 10, if the criminal knows that you're recording, or as in some places they don't know where the cameras are, then the chance of them committing a crime in that particular area are going to be slim to none. So video surveillance is one of the major things that they're doing out there to help alleviate some of these crime. Some of the unintended consequences of video surveillance, it could be, as far as displacement is concerned, it is increased suspicion or the fear of crime and increased reported crimes. Displacement occurs when the offenders are aware of the surveillance cameras and they just simply move their crime to somewhere else. So that's a problem. That can be an issue. So these are some of the things that we have to worry about. As far as the public concerns regarding video surveillance, as noted earlier, Civil Liberties Union often object to these video surveillance cameras, claiming that it's an invasion of privacy. So a lot of times they try to say it's an invasion of their Fourth Amendment right to be left alone or not to invade their privacy. So we have to be aware of that. Also, evaluation of video surveillance is, they established whether video cameras reduces crime. They figured out it's a difficult thing to really judge because problem-oriented solution is seldom implemented without incident or without other crime prevention measures being initiated. So to just say it's the video cameras by themselves is not a measurable thing, because we're not only implementing video cameras, we're doing other measures to try to reduce the crime as well. So there's really no concrete data to say whether or not this is in fact the cause of a specific reduce in crime in a certain area or not. The use of advanced technology to fight crime. Numerous types of technology can be used effectively in crime fighting and preventing efforts. Although it's not new, crime mapping technology is often the first step in protecting policing to identify hot spots. So in other words, they're plotting where criminal activity is taking place, and they're targeting these areas at specific times that these things are happening, and in an effort to reduce the crime, and it's very effective. So this is really not new technology, but it's something that's still in the works right now. Crime prevention through environmental design. This is another very effective method for reducing crime as well as the fear of crime. Target hardening being one of them. And this refers to making potential objectives of the criminals more difficult to obtain. In other words, making your house or your person a hard target for them to hit by you taking some crime prevention measures, such as deadbolts on your doors in your homes, putting out lighting, all of these different things, putting up surveillance cameras. All of these things makes your target harder, and it will reduce the chances of them from striking your home. So these are some of the important things that they do as far as crime prevention through environmental design. There's also the importance of place. A study showed the importance of place to crime and disorder, noting that most places do not have crime, while conversely, most crime is concentrated in or around small number of places. So in other words, crime is usually concentrated in smaller areas, and it's not so much as widespread and throughout the entire city or state or what have you. It's just concentrated in small areas. So that's what it's talking about as far as the importance of place. Weed and Seed is a program that's designed to identify, arrest, and prosecute the offenders. That's the weed part. And the seed part is by simultaneously working with citizens to improve their quality of life. So we're trying to weed out the bad and plant the seeds of an improved life of those citizens in which we serve in law enforcement. In summary, synergism occurs when individuals channel their energies towards a common purpose and accomplish together what they could not accomplish alone. So again, community policing is getting everyone involved, not just the police, the court system, the entire criminal justice system, the people, the citizens, businesses, churches. Everyone has to get involved to make it work. It can greatly enhance community policing efforts to prevent or reduce crime as well as disorder.